I think the thing that's happening with gaming year after year is we're kind of simultaneously having both the best and worst year every consecutive year. And if you thought the bad stuff from 2024 was rough, 2025 came along and just slow motion imploded, for a year. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 10 things that got worse last year. At number 10, the price of RAM went through the roof in 2025. In late 2025, seemingly out of nowhere, there was an immediate and brutal jump in the price of RAM. 50% price increases, sometimes more, and it's not been gradual. It's all going on in less than a month's time. There's a lot of reasons why it's happening. There's changes in RAM manufacturing combined with the shift from primarily consumer-based RAM production to enterprise production in service of AI data centers. It's caused RAM makers to shift away from making RAM for PCs, smartphones, consoles, and to be frank, they just straight up want us renting shit in a cloud somewhere rather than building our own stuff. It's at very least somewhat calculated. There are intentional supply shortages here. It's not like sticker shock is a new thing this year. We got raising console prices, got $80 games, but RAM isn't something PC users figured would be anything other than plentiful and cheap. So this complete change in availability and expense is a huge problem, not just for folks that want to build their own PCs, but to be frank, a lot of tech manufacturers like console makers, etc. It's hard to say what the long-term effects of this will be, or if it's actually just a temporary thing. It could just be a temporary thing. I do think they don't want us building our own stuff. They want us renting shit in a server somewhere. So I wouldn't be shocked if the high cost of RAM is here to stay, but it might not. It is a big problem for the upcoming Steam Machine launch. Probably not going to be that competitive in terms of pricing with consoles, even though, the GameCube looks awesome. We don't know what it's going to cost, but I have a feeling it's going to be at least $700. But is that even that much more expensive than a console anymore, or especially consoles in the future? I don't know. I will say something that is free, and we greatly appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button. And number 9, the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition made Fallout 4 worse. The modding community has given a lot to Bethesda. They've fixed bugs, they've added impressive amounts of free content to their games, but in return they're basically ignored, exploited, and taken advantage of. When they're not liberally borrowing from community-made content to sell in their in-game store, they're packaging for $20 and calling it an Anniversary Edition. I'm not saying Bethesda isn't entitled to do any of this stuff. It's their game. The creators agreed to be part of it, but the Anniversary Edition package was poorly put together. It's very slapdash. It feels more like it's making fun of the community for wasting their time the past 10 years than celebrating it, adding insult to injury at the same time as pushing out a $20 upgrade that amounts to a bunch of paid mods that you could get cheaper before the anniversary release, and a forced patch that broke many more popular mods for the game. Yay! This isn't the first Anniversary Edition to break one of their games, but it's quantifiably worse. The Skyrim Anniversary Edition broke mods too. It failed to deal with a lot of game-breaking bugs that were actually in the game, but it did add some significant features and expanded creator support. Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, on the other hand, adds no new features other than a new version of the Creation Hub, which, great. There's also some fixes that are mostly there to support the paid mods that they're selling you, while at the same time breaking the free mods most PC players actually want. So another year, another example of Bethesda breaking stuff that didn't need fixing. And number 8, there were barely any big or even particularly noteworthy AAA games. As refreshing as it was to see quote-unquote indie games, AA games, get their time to shine in 2025, it still kind of sucked to see what would normally be the biggest, most noteworthy games of the year not stand out much. It's not that every game from a big publisher sucked in 2025, but they didn't leave much of an impression. Pretty much every major, big, highly anticipated game ended up being kind of underwhelming. Monster Hunter Wilds, Borderlands 4, Doom the Dark Ages, Ghost of Yotei, list goes on. None of them were terrible. Every one of those games, I think, has redeeming qualities. It certainly has people that love them. I particularly like Doom the Dark Ages. I rather liked Ghost of Yotei. Monster Hunter Wilds was my jam. Borderlands 4, I think it improved on 3, but that wasn't that hard to do. I think it's substantially improved on 3. It's a good game. Did any of them particularly stand out? Did it feel like it was a year where we got a Monster Hunter, a Borderlands, a Doom, and a follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima? No, it did not feel like that. And also there were games like Black Ops 7 where the campaign was utterly terrible. And even though I gotta give it to Assassin's Creed Shadows for exceeding expectations, good, you guys made a good Assassin's Creed game. Glad to see you can do that. I'd say it'd be overly dramatic to say 2025 was the year AAA died. That'd be silly. But it was definitely a down year for the Sonys, the Microsofts, the Ubisofts of the world. As much fun as it's been to rag on these companies for refusing to innovate and dumbing down their games to reach a wider audience that never seems to materialize, we do need AAAs because that does bring in the wider audience. And the wider audience does drive technology innovation. So does the money behind AAA. A lot of stuff is tangled up in people that need to get better about stuff, let's say. And number 7, Nintendo's legal shenanigans got worse this year. And Nintendo doesn't exactly discriminate when it comes to letting a cease and desist fly. Someone made a fan project using Nintendo characters, and that project got enough attention, it was going to get shut down. They've shut down ROM sites, they've shut down the creators of the Switch emulator Yuzu. For a while, that shut down Nintendo emulation as a whole. I mean, not permanently, but it happened. Nobody liked any of this, but Nintendo was, at least somewhat justified in doing it, at least from a legal perspective. But in 2025, they really started to push the boundaries of what's acceptable by obtaining a patent for summoning another character and making them battle on the player's behalf. It is a patent on Pokemon-like mechanics that they intended to use against Pocket Pair, the creators of a heavily Pokemon-inspired survival game called Pal World. Regardless of your opinion on Pal World, the practice of trademarking a gameplay mechanic sucks and should not be allowed, especially in this case where the mechanic described is so freaking broad that you can easily find multiple examples of the same thing they're describing being a mechanic in games that came out many years before Pokemon. They're trying to patent something they clearly didn't invent, and is in fact pretty similar to a patent filed by Konami back in 2002 that covers the same ground and isn't enforceable. How do I know it isn't enforceable? Well, Konami's been pretty hard up for cash multiple times since 2002, and they didn't enforce it. The thing about patents is they don't necessarily have to be defended. That's something people get confused about. It's up to the patent holder whether they're going to go after somebody for violating a patent. And a lot of that calculation is if you think that you'll actually be able to win. I don't think that this is a defensible patent, and there are many legal scholars that agree with this, and they have a better idea of it than I do. It's pretty obvious they filed this patent specifically as part of their legal battle with Pal World, and that's about it. I think it's dumb. I think Nintendo, of all people, should understand that mechanics like this create genres. Mario was not the first platform game. Donkey Kong was not the first platform game. In Japan, it was straight up rejected. Here in the US, the director of the patent office ordered this specific patent to be re-examined. I'm assuming that's going to mean it gets thrown out as well, because to be frank, our patent office is lax as shit. They allow anything through because they don't look at stuff. So if they're gonna look at it, it's because there's a problem. Unfortunately, it's not because game mechanics should be patented on principle. Apparently, that's not something that anybody can seem to understand is more or less impossible, not only annoying to do, but the broad language of the patent, and it overlaps with at least 2 other existing patents, one of which was filed by Nintendo themselves. It's dumb. And number 6, fake trailers are getting better, which is worse for everyone. Fake trailers were already a big problem on YouTube, but with the rising power of AI, they're getting easier to make, and they're tricking more and more people. It's gotten to the point where even Google is getting fooled. They're sending people to a new GTA 6 trailer it's just a fake concept created by a random YouTube channel. Right around the end of the year, a trailer began circulating for Shenmue 4. It was claiming to be an off-screen footage trailer obtained through secret leaked means as a possible reveal ahead of the Game Awards. It was a complete fabrication. We know because the creator came clean and apologized for the whole thing, but for the days and weeks following the initial drop, the trailer was raging with speculation as to its authenticity. Some people wanted to believe, others saw it as AI-generated junk, which, let's be clear, people have been making junk for a long time, but it's way easier to make now. And because it's way easier to make now, there's a lot more of it. Unfortunately, some people kind of accepted it despite warning signs, even made excuses, like claiming the actual Shenmue developers were using AI to generate their own internal trailer, which is, not unprecedented. I could see using references in some of these advanced models to make mock-ups that you could then at least have some idea or be able to communicate to a team what you're trying to do. I get that. That's not something I'm against. I have a feeling that's better than writing something on a napkin. But the actual devs had absolutely nothing to do with this. this. They issued their own statement denying that they had any connection with the video. Basically, the faker tried to hide the trailer's imperfections behind a low-quality image combined with recording it off a screen, but it still wasn't that convincing. It was a lot more plausible than what would have been possible a few years ago, but take this as a prompt, no pun intended, to get good at spotting AI. You should just do that. That's going to be a necessity in the world that is coming, so just do that. And number 5, everything getting delayed. We all know that delays ultimately lead to better games most of the time, but that doesn't mean it doesn't sting when something highly anticipated gets struck with lengthy delays. The obvious first game to mention here is GTA 6, which was originally slated for release in late 2025, but got pushed back to May 2026 and then to November 19th, 2026, tacking on an entire extra year. We all have to collectively wait to finally get this thing. That delay stings the hardest, but a ton of other games originally meant to release this year got pushed back the next year. Crimson Desert, Pragmata, replaced Ark 2, Fable, and who knows what's coming at this point. Marathon, Subnautica 2, which we're worried is even going to exist eventually. But the relatively smaller and hotly anticipated games like Shovel Knight developers Mina the Hollower, that got hit with an indefinite delay just weeks before it launched. It's not just full releases that are getting delayed either. It's early access games like Paralives, the other spiritual successor to The Sims that got delayed. Just a lot of delays. And because of that, a lot of these games are in danger of getting overlooked if they come out too late, but they're also in danger of getting overlooked if they come out undercooked and buggy. The smaller ones have to at least get it right with the release. GTA is a bit more of an anomaly. It'll sell gangbusters no matter what state it's in. But Rockstar are perfectionists. Yeah, they can't help themselves. And number 4 is Steam policy changes and banned games. Yeah, we all complained about the endless stream of crappy, low-effort porn games showing up on Steam, but that turned out to be a monkey's paw complaint wish thing. Valve started purging a lot of these games, not for quality reasons though, but because of payment processors. So Visa and MasterCard have been dictating what's acceptable in video games now, which is not my favorite thing. And now we're all stuck having to abide by their misguided and inconsistent decisions. Greater pressure on Steam to clean up the market has left a bunch of games that do not deserve the boot to get the boot. Steam caved and made it harder for games with difficult or troubling subject matter to appear on the store. I would say it's less of a problem if they offered some kind of guidelines or rules for devs to follow, but with no code of conduct or expectation about what is and isn't allowed, everybody just has to guess, and because of that, they're forced to err on the side of caution. What's getting banned and what isn't doesn't make any sense. Cyberpunk 2077 is more explicit than a lot of games that got banned, but it's not going to get banned by Epic and Steam. That's silly. But even so, does that mean that the next Cyberpunk will have to abide by new rules and cut some stuff that was in the first game? I wouldn't like that. I'm not saying video games need sex and violence, but it sucks when outside forces start telling us what we can and can't see in a game, especially when the punishment is so severe, getting removed from the most popular PC game marketplace by far. Steam's ban spree isn't all bad. This year, they did ban all games that require watching an ad before you get to play. I think that's perfectly justified. I'm all for that. And number 3, key cards on the Switch 2. Life was already hard for the physical game faithful coming in 2025, but man, 2025 didn't make it easier. Codes in boxes, games only partially on the disc, games not on the disc at all, day one patches. I mean, that's all still common practice, but I mean, at least for the most part, the Nintendo ecosystem was refreshingly free of that sort of thing. You did get Switch game boxes with a code inside, but for the most part, there's a Switch card, you got the whole game, end of story. At least, a pre-patched version of the game. You know where this is going, though. In 2025, we had the privilege of being introduced to the Switch 2's new game keycards, commonly known among collectors as the worst of both worlds. It's an inconvenience. It's a physical game card, except for it has none of the benefits. You still have to download the entire game on the internet, so you can't just plug and play, and you need the thing inserted at all times in order to play. Game's got nothing on it. It's essentially just an annoying piece of copy protection, so if you've got a game key card, you're worse off in every way compared to someone with a digital copy of the game. I get why Nintendo created this thing. It's an alternative option to drive publishers to bring their games to the system. I get it. Don't need to shell out for the more expensive, higher capacity game cards. Yay! My game can be in the store without having to pay for the more expensive game card. That actually still means something to the Switch. People still buy Switch stuff in the store for like holiday gifts and stuff. It's that kind of thing still. These things suck though. I mean, at least Nintendo makes it clear which games are key cards on the box, so you could stay away from them if you don't want them. And going digital is, of course, getting easier. Internet speeds keep getting faster and generally more stable, but that doesn't mean this is good. At number 2, video game adaptions were pretty brutal this year. The last few years have given us some pretty great adaptions. On TV alone, we got The Fallout show, The Last of Us Season 1 specifically. There was some cool stuff in Secret Level. And in theaters, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 made everybody collectively realize that Shadow the Hedgehog is actually cool. It's about time, right? Anyway, 2025 was not as kind. In 1 year alone, we got the diabolical combination of Minecraft movie followed up with the somehow much worse Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If you're a parent with kids who love these games, not having a good time at film cinemas in 2025. Not like 2024 was all rainbows and sunshine. We got the god-awful Borderlands movie last year, but nobody actually saw that. Everyone knew that looked terrible. Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy's made bank. Someone somewhere was getting dragged to see those things that wasn't happy about it. The small screen was also pretty rough for 2025. We got the divisive Devil May Cry series, a crappy Until Dawn movie that really doesn't have anything to do with the original, a disappointing adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2, which failed to please fans of the first season, and people who actually liked the second game. Like, nobody was happy with that thing. Second season of Amazon's Fallout show started up at the end of the year, but that's really it. As the entertainment world is rapidly running out of fresh ideas, they're more often than not turning to video games to adapt to new hit series and movies, and, we were given reasons to hope in 2024 that were smacked down in 2025. And finally, at number 1, the current AAA gaming market is on life support. There were a ton of great games in 2025, more than we could keep up with. Many of the central pillars of the video game industry took severe downturns last year, though. It's kind of wild seeing it happen back to back, like all the dominoes falling one by one. Ubisoft, after just a few years of tepid sales, made a deal with Tencent to form a new division just for Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six, obviously their most lucrative ones. Soon after, it was announced EA was going private after private equity took over the company. Ubisoft's news was troubling, but this was flat out alarming. It's one of the most suspect, one of those reverse debt purchasing schemes that only seem to happen when a company is about to be strip mined for parts. To put EA's position in perspective, that is what Bed Bath & Beyond did. Reads like the beginning of the end for EA. Given their profits, it's unlikely they'll manage to make back the amount they owe in a relatively quick amount of time, which is what private equity, wants to do. They want to swallow them up and take them apart and do whatever they can to make money off of it. But I'd expect EA to be a hollow husk of its former self soon. Most major developers moving ways and their IPs being sold off or licensed out. Things are bad at EA, but they aren't great at Activision either. The publisher, which is published by Microsoft, has essentially become a one-game studio. Their revenue and future are entirely dependent on Call of Duty. They put all of their eggs in that basket, but in 2025, the seemingly unassailable franchise saw a massive drop in sales. We speculated it was possible that Battlefield could beat Black Ops 7 last year, but we didn't actually think it was going to happen. It did, though. Battlefield 6 outsold BLOP 7, and 2026 isn't going to be that much better. Probably Modern Warfare 2 is on the pipeline, and that's going up against GTA 6. When Microsoft bought Activision for $68.7 billion back in 2023, they didn't do it for Guitar Hero and Tony Hawk. They did it for Call of Duty. But if that franchise is on the decline, there's a whole lot of money that's just going right down the drain. It's always an inevitability. At some point, that Call of Duty would no longer be profitable. But, that series has been at the top of the industry for 20 years, and they've only had a few hiccups like Ghosts or Infinite Warfare underperforming. It's possible Black Ops 7 is just a dip, and next year it'll bounce back, but at some point the hot streak has to end. I didn't think we'd see it so fast after Microsoft bought Activision. Thought it'd take a few years, but whatever. Even Square Enix, though, is in trouble, with a consortium of activist investors criticizing the publisher for its lack of profitability. These guys only care about one thing, bigger bottom line. They don't care about quality games, they want bigger margins, and it points to yet another AAA publisher having a hard time in 2025. Like with Call of Duty could be another dip, things could bounce back, but it could be something more, a general decline in the current AAA gaming market that might never recover. New games, new companies, new developers on the rise, but at the same time, things are getting worse for the old guard of the gaming industry. A lot of these wounds are self-inflicted, but still don't like to see it. That's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, it's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. Join the 1% Club. Listen to The Falcon Show. We'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.